What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about LTC Litecoin today. Hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and let's get into it, my friends. Here we are sitting at about $98.43 right now. It is Tuesday. It's the beginning of a new week. Yeah, we're here right now. About 4 hours into the new day, 4.5 hours into the new day. My expectation at the moment is that we likely will see prices below this low. That's something new. I have expected that this was the low for a long time, and it's very possible. By the way, it is very possible that we don't go lower than that low, right? That we don't see something like this, and that we could, maybe see a higher low or even bounce from here. If we were to see something like that, I would want to see the price getting away from this area over the next day or two, maybe 3 days tops. Like if we went down today, then immediately tomorrow we'd have to recover, because if we don't do that, if over the next day or 2 days we continue to go down, I very much would suspect that we see lower lows than this. Okay, so we're at 98.50 now. If you can close days above $105, $106, I'll admit that we're probably not going lower, and likely I flip-flopped at the wrong time, and now we're going to move higher, right? So I'm flip-flopping here, saying that we're going to move lower whenever I've been calling for us to go higher for a little while, right? Since this low back here, right? I'm going to flip-flop and say that we're going to go lower now. But if we break out a little bit higher, if we break this downtrend here, right at that break, that's when I'll flip-flop back and be like, you know what? We're moving up higher now. So $106, $105, at the risk of being a little flippy-floppy, I do think that we're going to go down first and foremost and then move up. But if you close above $105, $106 there, probably $106, that would solidify it enough for me that this is your low. You're not moving lower, and you are ready to break out of this and move higher. Okay, so just some stuff on the table there to let you guys know what my expectations are. I fully do expect that all the targets that we've been expecting by the end of January to come in play for Litecoin are still at full effect. I don't expect that this, even if we do move lower, I don't suspect that this would be anything terrible for Litecoin, that this would mean that the cycle's in jeopardy or anything like that. It's just a lower low in this consolidation phase, which is an overall higher low in the current run that we're at right now. And likely what you do is you probably find support right below the green line here at the 123 moving average, something around $82 or even a little bit lower than that, maybe a little bit higher than that. But let's just see real quick, maybe from this low to this high, 382. I mean, likely the 618 would be where you go. $75. You're at $98 now, so likely Litecoin does go to $75, a little bit below this green line down here, right? Because the green line will continue to grow, and then down there will be your low. Likely you'll see that. Let's see, does that match? Is that on par with what I expect for the rest of the market? Yeah, that's on par. So yeah, $75 could very well be where you go Litecoin from here. You're at $98. I suspect that this move down will be just as swift as this one was, right? Very swift, and then swift recovery. Very swift down and swift recovery. I think it'll be the same thing. We'll get this done probably sometime early this week or by the end of this week, and then going into the end of this week / next week, we'll have a nice recovery. We'll be back at these prices before we even know what hit us. Like, literally, we'll probably be back at these prices and above these prices sometime before the end of next week. But this week already at the moment is not going how we were expecting it to go over the weekend, right? The weekend was worse than we thought it would be. The whole month of December was worse than we thought it would be. And just going forward, I definitely do still suspect that we will see prices above $200 and potentially even above $300 by the end of January for Litecoin. But first, we just have to move down a little bit, and then I think that we will bounce from there, really get away from this zone that you've been held down by for years now. And once you start to see separation from that, I think that you will see stronger moves than you've even seen on this most recent move here. So comparing this next move, where for a lot of coins, if I'm drawing this, I'll compare the move and I'll say you probably don't see as strong of a move going higher. For Litecoin, I would theorize you actually see a stronger move. I think that when you come out of this, when you move higher, I think it would be stronger than the move that you just saw here. So that would put you at least at 190. I think that you would at least go above 190 just based off of that simple metric right there. From a high to a low, that puts you at the top end of your golden ratio. I've already told you guys several times that I think you're going to hit the 786 at least, which is at 250, if not the high at 317 there, something like that. And you could go higher. You absolutely could go higher, but I think these are all by the end of January. I think this next move will take just as long as this move did, if not a little bit shorter, but it'll move more in that amount of time, right? So let's look at the ribbon. Looking at the ribbon here, right? Litecoin, and I just made a video on XLM and on others, basically saying the same thing, because they all have the same look, right? Crypto kind of moves together in unison. So the look that we have right now, hold on guys, sorry, my My stuff's all jacked here. The look that we have right now is that you bounced off of your daily ribbon, which is nice, but then you got back into it rather immediately. So of course, when that happens, generally you find your lows below the ribbon, right? Like if you bounce off the ribbon here, but then you got back into it immediately, you found your low below the ribbon, and then you moved up. The ribbon didn't cross, none of that happened. You pumped right through it, and then you continue to move up. Okay, but this time, however, we bounced. We came back, we found support below the ribbon, but when we bounced, we didn't break through the ribbon again, right? We actually found resistance here, and now we've gone back below the ribbon. This look is very indicative that the ribbon will cross to the downside. Now, this is the daily ribbon. A daily cross is not the end of the world, okay? But likely what that means is that any kind of movement up will be postponed at least for a week, if not more time, right? What happens oftentimes with these crosses too, especially in a bullish, a dominant trend overall to the upside, when you get this cross, you have this move down, it's like right when you have that cross, that's when you have your low and you move up into that cross, and then the ribbon is still moving down while you're moving up, and then you're above the ribbon. After it crosses to the downside, you pull back down to it, you find support on it, then it crosses back up. I don't know if that makes any sense. Let me see if I can find an explanation of what I'm detailing here, because I mean what I'm saying. I just don't know how much sense that all makes. I mean, kind of right there, but that's not a good example of it. Let's see. Something, might have to go back to the previous bull cycle. Yeah, maybe. Something like this. No, not quite. Not quite. Anyways, man, I think I've given the analysis. At this point, I'm just trying to make a point, but I do want to make it, okay, this is actually a good point here, right? So your ribbons crossed bullishly, you're finding support, boom, you found support, but then you didn't get away, you actually came back into it. So now you had to go below the ribbon crossed, okay? And you didn't move up into the ribbon right as it crossed, but essentially when it crossed, you were at your lows, essentially, okay? Then you moved up, and while you moved up, your ribbon was still crossed to the downside, but then you found support on it, making it cross to the upside, and then you carried on with your move. That's all I'm trying to say. Something like that, kind of, a little bit different than this, but more or less kind of like this, where I would suspect that we moved down below the ribbon, right, a little bit through it, enough to make it cross. Once we get the cross, we'll be at the lows. We'll move up through it. The ribbon's still progressing down, even though we're moving up. And then once we tip off there, the ribbon might turn around and move up. We find support on the ribbon, and then we flip the ribbon back bullish and we move up again. That's what I suspect will happen for Litecoin. I actually bet that exact thing happens, man, in time. I don't know how crazy I just sounded there, but essentially lower first, okay, higher later, lower again, and then higher afterwards, right? At that rate, it'd probably be the second half of January, the ending part of January, that we're going to see things really start to get exciting for crypto. I think the first week will be a bit, let's say, unsettling, because we'll see probably a 20% drop across the board for most cryptos, starting basically now on the last day of December. But then after the first week of January, we'll probably recover, and then going into the second half of January, we'll start to exceed. We'll not just recover, but we'll start to expand out from this consolidation zone going into the end of the month. So all that to say, my friends, prepare yourselves. We'll probably move down to $75. That's all I got. If you like the video, hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Thank you all for being here. If I'm wrong, close any day above $106. I'll admit that I'm wrong. Easy peasy. And then you're moving up. Then everything I just said in this video is more or less for naught, because we're probably not going to move down, and we would just start moving up right now. So even better. But take care, guys. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.